So we're here with Mike Torville, who's that guy there. In between's Matt the Moderator. Evans Cooling is the product, and we're standing in front of Jeff Dunham's Ford GT.
Yeah,
in
the
purple.
only purple one ever.
Mike, tell us about your product.
Well, Evans Coolant is a waterless engine coolant. And really, it's about the only waterless coolant you can find. All the other coolants are a 50-50 mix of ethylene glycol and water, as we all know. But the big difference with Evans is the absence of water, and then therefore the absence of the problems that water causes. So you think about corrosion, you think about electrolysis, but more importantly, boil over, pressure. Evans has a boiling point of 375 degrees. Now, you'll never come close to that, and
They
that's
don't
the
make
idea.
pasta with Evans,
No.
man. It'll be al dente.
Right.
You're standing there all night.
Now, you think about that, with such a high boiling point, it stays a liquid, so you never have any vapor, you don't build any pressure, and you never boil out.
So the pressure is a big issue because when you pop the cap or something goes wrong, or let's say in a racing environment and you have a leak, that's where the mess comes, because there's so much pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Coolant goes all over the track and it's a huge mess.
It's messy.
And in NHR drag racing, I think you pay a fine now, right? If your team drops oil or coolant, your team pays a fine.
You would, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because most glycol-based coolants are not allowed on NHRA tracks up until now, because Evans is allowed.
When I do vintage racing, I think a lot of the guys add water wetter and
Right.
to just water.
Right.
But in a way, this is sort of the move from putting additive in conventional oil to going full synthetic. I mean, would you look at it that way?
Look at it that way, because it just behaves differently, and it prolongs, the life cycle is prolonged, right? So Evans will stay in your engine indefinitely. I mean, you never have to change it out.
Yeah.
Because the additives don't fall out, so it's very different.
We're here at the Peterson Automotive Museum, and
Yeah.
they have a huge collection of hundreds of collector cars. Why would the Peterson pick Evans over water wetter or conventional coolant?
Well, that's actually a good point, because when the cars sit for a long time, right, what happens? You know, the additives, the anti-corrosive additives fall out over time, right? And then you get corrosion or electrolysis, and electrolysis is the pitting that results from the electric current through the water. Well, without the water, that's not going to happen. And when this happens, it happens from the inside out. You don't know it till it's too late. That's why a lot of museums are using it. I mean, Jay Leno uses it. The Tim Wellborn Muscle Car Museum, American Muscle Car Museum.
I think the Guggenheim is using it now, too.
They ought to, yeah.
It's great that so your product goes in and it kind of coats everything and sticks to it to prevent that corrosion. And it's because when we talked to Leno at his place, he hates the ethanol in fuel. Right?
Yeah.
Because it eats his old fuel lines, and he gets angry at the California fuels.
He gets angry at ethanol. I'm not going to, you know what, I've said too much. Is Jay still here?
I think he just left. I think
Okay, well, he hates those three things. And we can fix at least one of them.
I was going to say with good reason, but the good reason applies to just the water.
Just the water. And the ethanol. All right, so where do we get Evans?
You can certainly start off at the Evans Coolant website, evanscoolant.com. That's where you start. But it's available throughout dealerships throughout the country, Summit Racing, Amazon, places like that. But really, you can find it very easily.
Okay.
You know?
Now, before we wrap up, though, you guys, you wrote a book recently. Now the book's going to be a movie. What's it about? How'd that happen?
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, actually, it was several years ago I wrote a book. It's called A Promise to Astrid.
Yeah.
And recently it got the attention of a movie producer, and the movie's being made. It's going to be premiered in May. It's called A Promise to Astrid. I just happen to have a copy.
Wow.
Isn't
No, wait,
that
you
just-
wrote a book.
I wrote 4 books. No one's doing jack squat.
I could promote your book if you don't mind.
So we can find it.
Yeah, actually, I have a copy of it right here.
Wow.
Wow.
It's the
Odd.
It's the book and the movie. It's coming out in May. Yeah, it's called
All right.
Promise to Astrid. Yeah.
And then for the Evans Coolant, where do we find those guys online?
evanscoolant.com.
Okay.
Okay, and again, you can find it in all kinds of places. On our website, we have a where to buy section. Put in your address, put in your zip code, you can find a dealer near you. You know, a couple other things I do want to mention about the NHRA, because it's real important that we started to talk about the NHRA and the racing and why glycols are not allowed. Evans is just as difficult to clean up as glycol-based coolant. It is a glycol-based coolant, but the difference, and I think it was worth mentioning to all the people listening, is if Evans is a glycol-based coolant, why would it be allowed when the 50/50 coolants aren't? And it's all about the pressure. The reduction of pressure means the likelihood of it getting on the track is decreased by so much. You're not going to have that happen in any great volumes. You might have a little spill to clean up.
Right.
And not have that problem.
I'll tell you guys about a pretty scary story that happened to me. I went on the Evans Coolant website, right? And I typed in closest location. And I typed in my own address, and it came back with the coolant's in the house. Like that movie, The Babysitter. I was like, oh, I was home alone. I was like, in the house? No! I freaked out pretty hard. I wasn't.
Run.
My kids were not the same for a couple of days after seeing what happened to me, but I had to get out. You know.
Oh, that's another scary movie. Get out.
Get out. That's right. It's in the house. All right, Mike. Thank you, and thank you for your contribution to literature and film as well.
Yep.
And Evans Coolant, everybody, go online.
Thank you.